Hey everyone, welcome back to You, Me, and DC. I am the stepson of Krypton.
And I am Mantis.
And on this channel, we explore all things DC, Marvel, pop culture, and everything in between. So whether you are a seasoned fan or just starting out, we'll be diving deep into characters, storylines, and the latest news from both the DCU as well as the MCU. So today, we are going to be discussing the super suit through the ages. But before we dive into this one, we want to thank you for watching and make sure you hit that thumbs up button so more of you people can enjoy our videos. And without further ado, let's jump on into the discussion. All right, guys. So here in recent times, we've put out a couple of videos in the last week or two in regards to the super suit image that was released by James Gunn, which was had mixed reviews when it was received. So we thought, given some of the comments that were in the previous videos about our take on the super suit, that we would do a video that highlights the super suit throughout the ages, starting from way back when in the 40s, going all the way up to the current times. And we'll just leave it off right there as we hit the James Gunn suit, since you guys have heard us talk about that enough.
For real. It's been again, I would assume most people know what Superman's normal suit looks like. And they could probably pick it out in a suit lineup of other superheroes, but definitely maybe not the little intricacies. And I think a good thing about this video being able to see the evolution, whether for good or bad, because some of these is they're questionable on the thought process that went into them. But yeah, definitely from the going from, like you said, the very first suits that you see on the silver screen, so to speak, because we were talking before this. Some of them are in black and white, so the colors don't pop quite as well in black and white.
Well, it's unfortunately, and that's the thing that the Superman has had to deal with that a lot of other superheroes haven't. Is he had to overcome the challenges, and so did the costume designers and producers of these TV shows and movies. That it was only filmed in black and white. It can only be displayed in black and white. So there's a lot of different challenges as we go through the first couple of Supermen here that they had to overcome. That we just don't have those issues nowadays. So
Yeah, what was the first one then?
let's start all the way back in 1948 with Kirk Alyn. So Kirk Alyn was the first Superman to play him in live action in 1948, just in a movie titled Superman. And then again, he followed that up with not necessarily a sequel, but another Superman movie entitled Atom Man versus Superman. Okay, again, all set in black and white. When you look at the movie posters for them, they look like they're straight out of a comic, right? It's not the
I was gonna say, yeah, the covers of these films, like the posters for the film, look like dead up like they're from like a comic book cover. It's pretty cool.
So it is, that's all hand drawn, and they do actually include a picture of the actual actor in there. But it is hand drawn. Okay, that's how they were doing movie posters back then, because again, you don't have the budgets and you don't have the technology to produce those types of images like a kid can now on his cell phone. Now, interestingly enough, about the original suit was gray and brown wool, right? Because we think of the Superman suit, we think of a blue suit with red trunks and a red and yellow symbol and red cape. Well, obviously you're thinking filming in black and white. That has to the suit has to be distinguishable against the background set colors, right? Because everything's going to show up as really one of two colors. It's just what's going to show up as light gray and dark gray, so to speak.
Yeah.
Black and white,
Yeah.
and all that. So the suit was a gray and brown to help kind of offset those colors, and it was of wool, right? So interesting material, and actually that happens with several of the other Superman suits, as you'll see here coming up. But if you also notice that his cuff is a ribbed cuff around his wrist, which kind of resembles, and it gives it, because it was a wool bodysuit, but it gives it a very Christmas sweater like feel to it, right? Because, and even in the hand drawn poster of it, when you look, the cuff is ribbed. That's how the suit appeared. So definitely an interesting take, as well as the cape. The cape is actually sewn on right across the shoulder here and just droops over, which was an interesting thing to have it, because traditionally we're used to seeing it tucked into the neck. And then of course we have the trunks, but they are very, very high waisted red trunks, and the classic yellow belt. Now with Kirk Alyn's, the boots were actually originally, they actually had laces, which kind of made him look like a WWE star with some of those crazy, high boots, but they have the crazy laces going on. So it was definitely an interesting first look for the Man of Steel.
Yeah, you get the trademark, all the trademark aspects of the super suit that you would deem from the comics at this point. And then, like you said, that's the yellow belt. The trunks, although they're not as speedo-y looking, they look more like tidy whities, I guess, than anything.
Tidy
in that
Reddies.
first iteration, tidy reddies, yeah. It's interesting as we'll see when we move through these, of how that slowly went into speedo territory and then completely gone. So
well, it's like if you ever like men's basketball, the shorts started really, really short, and then they slowly extended, and now they're kind of going back that way. So
now
we move on, and we're gonna time jump a little bit here to 1951 with George Reeves. Not to be confused, not related to Christopher Reeves, who's going to be coming up here soon. But George Reeves actually played Superman in the movie The Superman and the Mole Men in 1951. And then that's... Yeah, right. Well, and you think about the previous one, Adam Man versus Superman, but this is in the Mole Men. Okay, that then spawned a TV show that ran from 1952 to 1958. Now, similarly to Kirk Alyn's Superman suit, same situation. A wool bodysuit. Colors were virtually identical, because again, they were still shooting on they were still shooting in black and white up until 1954. In 1954, they did have to change the suit colors to accommodate that. Now they were able to film, and it was able to be released in color. Now, obviously, not everybody had color TV back then, so they were still seeing it in black and white, but it was able, and shows were being released in color. So they actually did end up having to change.
They had to change it.
Yeah, they had to change the suit up a little bit.
In this iteration, you can definitely tell that they went. This doesn't, from the picture, the poster at least. It does not look like they didn't stay with the wool sweater type thing. This looks more, I don't want to say nylon, but it's not. But it kind of looks that way. It doesn't look thick at all, for sure. I mean, the trunks look a little thick, but it definitely looks like something you'd pick up from Walmart.
Well, so with this suit, okay, so unlike Kirk Alyn's, with George Reeves' suit, Kirk Alyn was what they say. Obviously, I didn't know him personally. He was more fit, and he had more of a kind of a power lifter type of physique, right? So he didn't have cut abs, but he was kind of bigger up top, where George Reeves wasn't. So here's where the first muscle suit was added to it, which is basically a T-shirt that had rubber muscles on it, and it was added to pad him up a little bit, to give him a little more of the bulk that made it look so he could fill out the suit and look like a Superman. However, yes, it is a thinner wool suit. It doesn't have the Christmas sweater cuffs. It still does have an interesting cuff on there, but it's, because we think about the suits now, they don't have cuffs. This still did, because it is still an article of clothing. It is still a bodysuit. And they changed the boots now. So the boots, instead of having the crazy laces in the front, actually zippered in the back and had a Velcro that covered up where the zipper was. So obviously, if they're shooting and you want to see them from the back side of it, you don't have a crazy looking zipper on the super boots. So definitely some changes. However, the overall aesthetic of the suit pretty much stayed the same, as far as the colors and the design. You have the symbol on the chest, you have the symbol on the cape.
Yeah, the symbol, which you didn't get to see it in the pictures on the cape, but that's an interesting thing, of the symbol being on the cape. But it hasn't changed for sure. Like, the S looks exactly the same over the course of what that would be 10 years.
So then we're going to time jump again. We're going to go to 1978. Christopher Reeves. playing Superman in 4 movies this time. Obviously, first one's just self-titled Superman in 1978, Superman 2 in 1980, Superman 3 in 1983, and obviously, as much as all of us don't like to remember it, Superman 4 in 1987. Now this is where the suit started to take on some changes here. Costume designer Yvonne Blake, who actually won an Oscar for her costume designs in 1971's Nicholas and Alexandra, actually designed this suit. And as we go through the list here, you'll find out that multiple suit designers who have made the Superman suits for these movies throughout the years have actually won Oscars for their suit designs, not necessarily for Superman's, but so obviously very, very accomplished suit and costume designers here. But the first big thing you notice is this is where we start to move towards Speedo territory, and the high-waisted red undies kind of start going away, right? We're bringing that waistline down. Still, the goal with this suit was to try to hide all of the fasteners, the stitching, and all this. So if we start to notice now, the cape is actually tucked into the neckline and goes around. It's not necessarily just literally stitched across because they wanted to go away from that, right? It was supposed to look seamless. Even though Christopher Reeves does have a strap that goes underneath the arms to help keep the cape in place when he's moving around, and so it doesn't fall off. Same thing with the boots. The boots did the zipper in the back, had the Velcro. Very similar aesthetic to that. Cape, same situation, has the symbol on the back in there. But we noticed the wrist and the cuffing around the wrist, again, similar to how the yellow or the red undies are shrinking. The cuff is shrinking and just kind of going away.
Is the cape shorter? It almost looks shorter.
The cape is a little bit shorter. If you ever notice in even in Kirk Alyn's, but definitely in George Reeves, the cape literally goes down to almost the ankles, right? Whereas here, the cape literally looks like it's about cut off, about
knees,
right,
chin area, yeah. And we'll get to the newer ones too, but we can touch on it when we get there. But I'm pretty sure they go back to that longer length for the Christopher Nolan stuff. So again, yeah, kind of the same thing that you'd mentioned. The S is still the same here, pretty much. Hasn't differed really at all from that design. I did, if you look to it looks like they're getting thinner. The suits look like they're getting thinner and thinner, and it is kind of interesting that they went from that where the cape, like you mentioned, where it's stitched, looks like it's tucked in almost to the suit, and the other George Reeves, it looks like it's almost an afterthought. Like it could have been pinned with some I don't know, bobby pins on the back. It looks like it was separate from the costume completely and not a part of it at all. This looks like it was taken into account from the design of the suit from the beginning. Like we're gonna have it move back to the original thing where looks like you can see it wrapped around at least to the front. Obviously, it would look weird here, but up until this point, something obvious that we haven't seen yet either is that his neck on all of these has been open. There's not been it hasn't moved up here in this area, right? Like the collar hasn't extended up yet.
Yes, it stays very, very long like this, except yes, now here we do have the cape
and
at least tucked in.
And there's no weird markings on the suit at all. The only differentiation that I think we've seen, and you'd have to correct me if I, because you know more about this than I do, but has the symbol been on the cape?
It has.
Was that an original?
So okay, yes, the symbol had been on the cape. Kirk Alyn's Superman had the symbol on it. There's a picture of where there's a image from one of the shows where he's going into the phone booth and he's got the cape, and you see the symbol on the cape, as well as he's got the blue suit part of it too. So you see the symbol on the suit as well. So yes, and George Reeves had the symbol on the cape as well too. So this sticks with it. Another notable thing is that in comparison with George Reeves and Kirk Alyn's, where Christopher Reeves at this point is the tallest person to play Superman, and he packed on a lot of muscle for the suit. So now, if you notice, the suit is not the typical wool, just fabricy. It's more of the leotard type, skin tight. You see where it's starting to bunch up whenever anybody who wears skin tight clothing knows it does, and when in your areas, apparently not whenever you're putting boots on, but that's beside the point. It is more of a skin tight, form fitting suit versus it just being these wool fabrics that it had been in the past. We're only going to jump to about a year here because the last Superman movie was in 1987. We're going to go to 1988 with Superboy. So, Superboy, John Newton, as well as Gerard Christopher, both played Superboy from 1988 to 1992. Now, John Newton was only Superboy for one season. Gerard Christopher picked up Superman for the last 3 seasons. Contract disputes and what have you, nothing important to the suit. However, the suit had basically stayed the same through both of their iterations, through both of them playing, right? Because they're just going to change it up and they're going to find somebody like sized. This suit draws very, very heavily from Christopher Reeve's suit in the Superman movies because several of the designers that worked on the suit, the same design company that worked on the suit, actually designed this one. So they were able. One video I watched, I can't guarantee that it is 100% accurate, but the video I watched had said that they were actually able to use certain pieces from the suit, not obviously from Christopher Reeve's suit, but just the extra pieces that you have when you're a costume design department. You make extras in case something goes wrong with them. So they were able to actually incorporate that in, which is why when you look at John Newton in the suit, it looks very, very Christopher Reeves like.
Yeah, it looks like exactly the same suit.
Yeah, so we still get the cape tucked in. It does come over the shoulders, but it's just tucked into the suit again. So we still have that very, very straight neckline. We still they've got the red undies and with the yellow belt. Everything's almost identical to the Christopher Reeve suit. He's got the curly hue going on, and even once we get closer to when Gerard Christopher takes over the suit, we still have the bit shorter cape, just like Christopher Reeve's. Now, here's an interesting thing about this, okay? So we talked about many of the add-ons of the suit were able to be used from previous Superman suits. Is this was the first series filmed at then new Disney MGM Studios. Okay, now you think about that. At the Disney MGM Studios. Now they are rivals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now Disney's trying to take over everything. Is MGM still a studio? I guess they kind of are.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the lion on anything lately. I guess they're a big Bond thing, aren't they?
Yeah, I think maybe they provide additional financing, so they maybe get a little whatchamacallem in the credits there. I haven't seen a whole lot of them here lately. It's ironic because when we talk about these, like, okay, so we talk about Christopher Reeves playing Superman up to 1987, the Superboy show went in 1988. And it ran to 1992. There isn't really large gaps here in this time period where we were without a Superman, whether it be on the small screen or the big screen, because we're going to jump from 1992 right to 1993 with one of my favorite TV shows of all time, which is Dean Cain starring as Clark Kent Superman in Lois and Clark and the New Adventures of Superman. 4-season series. This was now we are moving into changes with the suit, right? We brought those undies way back down. We are now in Speedo territory with the red undies, right? Some additions were made to the belt. The symbol as well as the cape on this suit changed throughout the 4 seasons. And I say that really most of it happened in season 1. We saw the cape go through multiple phases of where it had the similar look to Kirk, Alyn, and George Reeves, where it was attached to the shoulder here. It looked like it was sewn and went over. And then we got to see it as well in season 1 and in later seasons where it was just tucked into the suit as well. The S initially started, there's a scene in the show, the very first episode when they're making the suit, where Martha pulls out the baby blanket that he was sent to, and the baby blanket had the symbol on it. So she actually uses that, but it's a lot smaller symbol.
What's that?
The baby blanket we found you in so long ago. And this.
And
Wait,
then
hold on. I was told that the suit was some sort of under thing that it wasn't made by Martha. That's what I was told. I read that somewhere.
so we'll take a little pause here to kind of go over that. All right. So the suit. Now there is a part in the comics early on into the comics where they talk about the suit, and Superman says, "Yes, I made the suit from materials that I invented." Right. But the actual definitive answer to the suit in the Silver Age of Superman was that Martha made the suit. Okay, so Martha designed the suit. We see it in Lois and Clark. We've seen it in several different iterations of Superman, as well as it's one of the most iconic lines in not only TV and comic books. Is that we got to see a great example of it in Superman and Lois in the very beginning of the episode episode when he saves the kid, and the kid says, "Oh, nice suit, thanks, Mister Nice Suit." He's like, "Thanks, my mom made it for me."
Cool costume.
Thanks. My mom made it for me.
Dean Cain as Superman uses, "Thanks, my mom made it for me."
I like your costume.
Thank you. My mother made it for me.
There's been several in the comics as well as TV shows where he says, "My mom made it for me." It was definitive in the comics. Martha designed the suit for Superman. So it was made of earthbound materials. We'll get into as far as it being able to withstand damage and such. And actually, it's funny because in Superman and Lois, that suit, that's Max Fleischer, or however you want to say his last name, suit. That's that design with the S and all of that going back to the golden age of Superman. So, let's go back to Dean Cain and his Superman. So, another change to the suit, because you will see the S be smaller in the first season, and then it gets bigger because the suit actually gets destroyed. We get a much darker red and blue, right? We get very, very, very distinctive red and blues, as well as, so this is the first super suit since George Reeves that has no muscle suit in it, right? Dean Cain, he was a former football player who got injured.
You used to play football for the Bills?
Till I blew my knee out. Now I do this. It's much more relaxing and definitely less painful.
Well, I know what you mean.
He started playing in this. Well, actually, his first thing was in 90210, but he started playing as Superman, and he was pretty well built, right? So this is a skin tight. This is where we finally move into instead of being a wool suit or a leotard. This is when they actually move into the spandexy fabrics that go over his suit, as well as it also, we go back to the longer red cape. It was the heaviest cape to date, in not our date, but to his time date of any super suit.
Yeah, I would say of the suits so far that we've discussed, I think he looks the best in it. However, I will say the design of the lower cut with the cape kind of sewn onto the sides, it kind of looks like that is a no-go. I just do not like that design.
No, I like when they have the higher cut and it's tucked in to the suit, like we've seen. But I love how the red and blue pop on there. This is also the first where Dean Cain got rid of the curly Q. So when he was Superman, he had gelled, slicked back hair. He didn't have the curly Q hanging down. As well, we get to see season 4 of this, we get to see Dean Cain in the black, what was normally the solar absorption suit. We get to see him in the black suit. So that was an interesting thing. So all kinds of great things, the region suit, I believe they call it, that we got to see from a TV show on a old network television budget. So it's definitely very, very cool to see.
Plus Terry Hatcher's in that series. She's attractive.
She's very, very attractive in that series.
Definitely better than Margot Kidder.
Yes, I would definitely agree there. All right. Now, we're going to do an honorable mention here because you really never get to see him all the way in the suit. But so that series ended in 1997. We went 40 years without a Superman, and we end up getting Smallville in 2001. Now, Smallville ran for 10 seasons, all the way up to 2012, and then we did get a quick little appearance of Tom Welling as Superman or as Clark in the Crisis on Infinite Earths in 2019.
Hey, Clark, the girls want to show you what they made.
I think it's time for you to... Still stronger.
But obviously, the show was designed around he was never going to be in the suit. This was his days before. But we do, in the 10th season, get to see the suit. Unfortunately, we get to see one where he's kind of ripping his shirt open like the classic iconic Superman. And we see what's more of like a Brandon Routh type of Superman Returns looking suit. The suit that we get to see when it's handed to him in the Fortress, however, looks god awful, right? The S looks like it's an inch thick.
It looks like a mold.
Yes, it didn't look like it was production quality ready.
It's okay that mine's not movie quality.
But he only gets to see it there for a little bit. He gets handed it, boom, takes it, goes fly away. And then when we do see him, or we at least see the suits, because again, they don't ever, when you get to see him in the suit, finally, he's so far away, you never actually get to see him.
Yeah. Let me add a few things to this, because this is kind of my wheelhouse. I know, just because we used to watch these all the time. What I would say, one, this was an interesting contrast at the very, like you mentioned, at the very end of the series, you see him in the suit. However, briefly, it's like halfway, right? Like you said, he rips open his shirt and then it kind of cuts. But the funny thing is, in the very first episode of the series, you do get to see him with an S on his chest. And I think I could be wrong, but it's maybe the only point other than the very end of the series where you see him with an S on his chest, which...
Right. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
If you've seen the series, it's when he's got the red S painted on his chest. It's actually the first season box set. I think it's the image on the front. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you still got those damn Blu-ray sets for those for the Smallville seasons. But I also want to kind of maybe back up the wardrobe department here for the WB, or CW at the time. I guess I don't know what it was then. I normally don't do this, but what I would say here is I don't know how you get a good shot of the suit and make it kind of look great and pop when he's not wearing it.
It's not coming out.
Clark, is it a dirt stain or an oil-based stain?
I don't know, Mom. It's a bomb stain.
So I would say the choice to make that symbol be as thick as it was literally so it would pop on camera, and I can't see it from the picture that I'm looking at, but in that scene at the very end of the series, is it flat? Like, it's not a mold on his chest, right?
So in the scene where you see, it's completely flat. It doesn't look like that at all. Like that.
I think it was literally just because they wanted it to look good, right? And that's the only reason. And again, if literally the screenwrite is we've got to show him he's going to be, someone's carrying this suit, like, and the angle that they're going to be shooting at, if that was just a flat like piece of fabric suit, I just don't think it would have given that the same oomph, right? That they were looking for. Is probably the only reason they did it that way.
Well, now, to be fair, so let me back up a bit. Season 9 of Smallville, and I still remember this because I bought the Blu-ray set that came with a actual shirt that had the Superman. It was a black shirt, but it had the grayish looking symbol. Season 9, he dons the black trench coat, and he has the shirt that has the symbol on it, the Superman symbol, and he's going around as the Blur. And
that's right.
So he has that. And then in season 10, he switches over to the red leather jacket that when he zips it up, it has the symbol on it.
Oh, that's right. They tried to like ink it in there, I think. ever so slowly. Although that's what I just don't get. Like I just don't. At that point, why not just put it on, man? I don't know. Now I'm just jaded about that whole situation.
Yeah, it was definitely things could have been better, but we're going to move on from that because that's not what this video is about. And we're going to move on to, and it's just interesting because we get this is the time now we got a Superman movie coming out while we have a Superman TV show basically running to Brandon Routh, 2006 Superman Returns. And then he also did show up again as well in the Crisis on Infinite Earth 2019 in the same episode as Tom Welling. So it's interesting. We're grouping Superman. But he played this Superman in 2006 Superman Returns, which was actually a sequel to Superman 2. So basically they said they were throwing Superman 3 and 4 out. I can't argue with that decision. Now, here's where we see drastic changes to the suit, right? Now we move into a low-cut Speedo. We move into a very textured style-looking suit. The S is actually a molded piece of polyurethane that actually kind of conformed to his body, right? But it was the suit, whereas before the suit had been fabric and it had been sewn on, and even in the earlier days you had the yellow parts of the symbol were sewn on to the red. There was a lot of intricacy that went into the symbol as far as to sew it, make it look good. Now this is a one-piece add-on to the suit. Okay, the belt had the Superman or the Super S on it. The S was made up of a bunch of tiny little Superman symbols in the red areas, as well as so were the boots, and especially in the areas where it showed where the boots have to kind of bend, and that wasn't the prominent like solid sides you're seeing. You will actually see that the has little S's, and then on the back heel of the boot also had a big S. We go really dark red with the boots and the cape. The cape now becomes the heaviest. The cape was almost like a leather type of a cape. The symbol shrinks down a little bit. We lose all kind of cuff. Obviously, this is another skin tight suit. It does have the muscle padding suit underneath of it as well, but we lose all no cuff, no nothing on that. We bring back the curly Q in the hair. This was also the first time we lose the symbol on the cape. Brandon Routh cape did not have the symbol on it.
Yeah, but you moved it. I moved it to the belt.
we moved it to the belt. Now, there is, if you pay attention at the very beginning of Superman Returns, when he crashes back to Earth, he is in what looks to be a gray-looking suit. There is a deleted scene that shows him basically a gray suit, that same symbol, but it has a higher collared, kind of cuffed neck. Also, kind of rewind back to the other suit. This is the first suit where we actually see a high neck, right? It kind of almost collars around him. It's not an open, open chest line.
You don't see the upper of the collarbone. Like with every single past suit, you've seen that. You could see the outline of the collarbone, and sometimes the guy a little lower, you could see the top of the chest muscle, especially with Dean Cain. Whereas, this is it's almost like they're wearing a wetsuit. Is kind of what it reminds me of, like how it kind of comes up to that very, very tight right, and we can see your neck right there, right? And even in the gray suit that you mentioned that they showed at the beginning of the movie, it feels like that's even higher.
Yeah, it's actually kind of collared around. When you see him in the fortress there in the deleted scene, it's collared up a bit onto the neck, right? It starts to actually kind of cover the neck. Now, then 2019, when we see him don the cape again in Crisis on Infinite Earths on WB, CW, he actually is the Kingdom Come Superman. Okay, so we got the aging in the hair. You will see the graying in the hair. We have the symbol that people are seemingly not liking about the newest iteration, but it's also red and black. Okay, so he is Kingdom Come Superman. It was great to see. I absolutely loved it. I love seeing him back, especially you get to hear the old Superman theme being played. Definitely classic. Go check it out. So let's fast forward. We're going to do a little bit more of a time jump here. And all this, again, while Smallville's going on. Smallville ended up and ran and finished up about 2012. Now we're going to jump 1 year to 2013 and Henry Cavill and the Man of Steel. Okay. Biggest suit changes of any of the suits. Arguably up until now. People might disagree with that now. But we're up until this point. No more red undies. We got rid of that. Basically, we went back to like a unitard as far as it's all one big piece. So got rid of that. Again, this is another one where Michael Wilkinson, who designed the suit, he had in the same year won an Oscar for costuming in American Hustle. So we have another Oscar winner for suit designs making the super suit. Okay. Definitely, we went super, super dark with the coloring of the suit. It is very, very heavily textured material. Cape strictly on a very, very straightened neckline high up. The whole suit looks very, very metallic. Now, there is a chainmail layer. There is a foam leather or a foam rubber layer that all went into designing this suit, and then there's a mesh layer, right? The actual bodysuit, the metal or the rubber muscle suit layer is polished silver, right, to look metallic. So obviously the outer material right above that, or on top of that material, is super thin, especially when stretched. It's to give him that look of being steel. He's Man of Steel. So definitely we changed the belt around. We've changed the boots.
Obviously the symbol is a little different on the chest, and yeah, they took the symbol off the belt, and it's like not even really a belt. I don't even know why it's there. I guess probably because it would look weird if it was just all one piece, because they, like you said, they wanted to take the undies out, so it would look weird if there wasn't something around the waistline. One thing that's really kind of strange with this suit too is the fact that they kind of add in the muscle lines that are kind of built into the suit. Because if you've ever seen like muscle structure in humans, the obliques section of your body is very clearly outlined in every single iteration of the suit that Henry Cavill wore, whether it's the black one or the normal one that he wears. There's actually a couple of different ones, I guess, from maybe Man of Steel and I think it changes in Batman v Superman. I could be wrong there.
So all three times the suit does make slight changes, right? So there are even going into the black suit, but in the the black suit in Justice League there, in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, the suit has slowly changed. We actually see more and more. In Man of Steel, you didn't see it as much. You see it a lot in Batman v Superman, and obviously when we see the black suit, you definitely see it as well. But the muscle suit, the silver muscle suit, what you're saying about those pronounced muscles, that's the suit showing through, the undersuit showing through of the muscles. That is more and more pronounced as the suit goes on from Man of Steel. You don't notice it as quite as bad, but when you look at in Batman v Superman, you see very pronounced looking muscles. It's the muscle suit. Yeah. That's that showing through to give that metallic look, to make him the Man of Steel.
Yeah. The top of the suit also came back down a little bit in more of like a medium. Like it's not all the way down to the collarbone, but it's not all the way up, right? Like it's almost perfect, I think. Like if I was to pick the way the cape looks in any Superman film that I like, I would say it would probably be this one. I really like how it's very small around the shoulders, and then it kind of tucks in right there, right? Like I really like the design of the cape and how they incorporated it into the suit. The S is kind of funny because it does change a little bit when it gets into Justice League. It's more squished. The S is the actual S part of it is taking up more of the symbol. It looks like so. What I don't really have an opinion whether that's good or bad. It's just a change. As far as the S symbols go, I'm not a huge fan of this one. It's okay, I guess. I'm more of a fan of the OG or the Kingdom Come. This one is kind of a little bit in between both, almost. And I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not terrible. It's it's whatever.
Okay, so now there's a video Zack Snyder does where he talks about the suit, and he, obviously, again, because up until this point, we've always known the suit as to be made by Martha. It is not Kryptonian. This is the first time where we see the suit come from Krypton, right? So there was some discussion on our last video about the suit. We made mention about the suit on Krypton basically served as underwear, right? It went under their armor. It went under their regular clothing. Like when you see, first off, Laura is not even wearing any of that, right? Now, granted, she's getting ready to have a baby, so maybe skin tight's not the way to go. But Jor-El has his robes on, and then he has his battle armor on, and that suit's underneath it. Zod is the same way. When you look at the Council, they don't have those on. Now, they are wearing clothing, and we even see back all the way in 1978 with Christopher Reeve's Superman, when they show Krypton, they're wearing clothing that has their house symbols.
Even in the face of our death, the richness of our lives shall be yours.
When they are of their whatever house they are, right? Yeah. They have those under there. But the clothing was always different than the Superman suit. Here in this and Man of Steel, the clothing is basically like underwear, right? It goes under a lot of things. It goes under their clothing. Somebody said, well, it's Kryptonian clothing. Well, it's Kryptonian Under Armour, right? It goes under their other functional clothes. That's what it was. However, he doesn't need armor when he come to Earth, and he's invulnerable. But that's what it was, right? That's why we see it, under with Zod, and we see it with obviously his
Jor-El.
army of people, and we see it with Jor-El, is because it went under their clothes and under their armor. Okay, so I will post that as well in here because some people want to say, oh nope, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not what it was. That's what it was. Okay.
Man suit is, in a sense, it's like the foundation, it's the undergarment that all Kryptonians wear.
So let's move on. We are going to then go to the final iteration of Superman in the current Superman that we have in the TV shows. Tyler Hoechlin, I did learn how to say his last name. So Tyler Hoechlin has played Superman in a couple of different shows. He is 2016 to the present, currently in his own standalone Superman show, Superman and Lois. Started out in, I believe it was the very first episode of season 2 of Supergirl on the CW. He did a couple of cameos here and there, just in random episodes, and then he got a little heavier into the Elseworlds crossover. We saw him come in. We got to see in that crossover, as well as in Superman and Lois, we got to see him don the black suit, which was awesome. Now, he has had 4 different iterations of suit in his run of Superman. So obviously we had mentioned earlier that when we initially see him in the opening scene, he's wearing the Max Fleischer fucking suit. That's the golden age of Superman.
Yeah.
Yep. Very, very back to that light blue, very simple symbol. The black on red with the yellow outlining. And there's the other one of my favorite lines in all the comics. Thanks, my mom made it for me.
Thanks. My mom made it for me.
Okay. Then in Supergirl, when we see him in the original appearances and stuff, he has a very, more of a current looking Superman suit with the S, the blue. Except he has a red belt. The cape, it does its own completely different thing now. It got like more of a royal cuff feel where it actually attaches. So it's not just sewn on, it's just not made part, and that it actually is clipped on, and it gives a very, very unique look to it. So that was definitely interesting to see because you actually have a clasp there. Now, the black suit that we do get to see him in Elseworlds, as well as that, it's the exact same suit, just made black because it even still has the cuff for the cape. Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say too, with the one that has the the red belt, and they move the cape back to the sides. This is also kind of, and I could be wrong, but that I've seen on the suit up to this point of these accent lines that are on the suit as well.
Yes, yeah, you start to see more of, kind of goes back to the new 52 suit, right? Where it has the accent lines. So that's interesting to see. Now with this suit, it didn't have a muscle suit to it, so there's several images when you look, you can tell that. Plus, he still wasn't as big. Again, he was playing cameo roles, right? He wasn't playing as Superman. Now he did bulk up quite a bit for his role in Superman and Lois. And once you see him in Superman and Lois, once we move past the Golden Age suit there in that brief clip, we get a what I think is one of my favorite Superman suits, just because of, I love how the blue, like, it's got that beautiful blue. You see similar to Man of Steel where the muscle suit is coming through a little bit. The classic, really, really pronounced symbol. We're back to having the S on the cape. And then we still have just the red belt going on, so we're still at this point no red undies and all that. But the cape itself is this absolutely gorgeous red that they just make pop. Definitely, as far as for Superman, it's for having a TV show budget. It is absolutely an amazing suit. Mm-hmm. They spend $5 million an episode to make Superman and Lois.
It's crazy for a TV show.
That's a lot.
But I mean, you can tell that they spent some more money.
Highest budgeted show on CW.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell they spent some more money in the costume department, because I agree with you. Like, not even just the quality, like looking at the original, the stuff that showed up, at the very beginning of Tyler's career here, and the evolution of the suits that he's worn. The money poured into the not just the cameos, but then in his own series, and the suit that the final suit that he's wearing is a million times better. In fact, it's right there with the Man of Steel. I think really what it is, like, I like a belt. Like, I really like a belt on the suit, even though he doesn't need it. Obviously, it's not like a utility belt. I think it just ties it together. It makes it doesn't just look like one big body suit, and I like that. The cape is better. And the S symbol is perfect, right? Like, it's the original S. It's got the yellow behind it. It pops. I agree with you. I think it's probably, it might be the best suit. I don't know. I don't know. It's right there, man.
So now, obviously, we know David Corenswet, who's playing the new Superman, coming up here in 2025. We're going to say it's from 2024 currently. Mm-hmm. We are not going to go over suit, guys. We've done 2 videos here. That's the last 2 videos other than a Fallout one that we've done. We're not going to go over and break down his suit again, just because obviously people have their opinions. There's no change in their mind on it right now. So we're not going to talk about that. However, we're going to do a couple of notable mentions to the suit and just some key features that have happened in the comics over the years since we've gone through all the films. So the Golden Age of Superman, and for those who don't know, the Golden Age of Superman, or the Golden Age, ran from 1938 to 1956, right? This is where in the comics there is actually a page in there where it talks about the suit. The suit, basically, he gets just drenched by acid and says, well, thank God that I made this suit from materials that I invented myself, right? So that's where everybody looks to saying, oh, well, the suit, he invented them while he was here. The suit wasn't Kryptonian. Now, when we move to the Silver Age of Superman, which is your 1956 to 1970, this is where the iconic line comes into, thanks, my mother made it for me. This was the definitive answer into the comics that, yes, the super suit came from Martha. Martha designed it, and that's where, it being skin tight had nothing to do with it being clothing for Kryptonians. It had nothing to do with anything. It was skin tight to basically cut down on wind resistance when he flies. Obviously, you don't want something big and baggy when you're flying. Now, to that runs into another interesting mention that basically throughout the comics, you see it. It's very, very spotty in live action. Lois and Clark in 1993, well, actually, it's in the 4th season, so it'd be 1997. They do a mention of it where the suit does get damaged when Superman loses his powers, and when he gets them back, the suit heals. And Dr. Klein explains it that Superman basically has a bioelectric aura around him. So something sitting millimeters off of his body, such as a skin-tight suit, it basically gains the properties of Superman, which is why the suit doesn't take bullet holes and things of that nature.
Yeah.
We see in Man of Steel, his suit, he's being shot by a freaking 30 millimeter cannon from an A10, and it doesn't take damage. Because of this bioelectric aura. Now, in the comics, that's played out a lot more than it is, like I said, in the cartoon and live action. Usually in the cartoon, we do see Superman's suit get damaged a lot. However, it is by usually his most powerful enemies. So, in Lois and Clark, season 1, he does re-entry into Earth, and the suit is completely obliterated. The suit's destroyed. Now, at one point, his suit even had pockets, or I say pockets. It really had a pocket on the cape, which is where he hid his Clark Kent disguise. So, again, I don't know how that would work. You'd see some shoes sticking out the back or whatever. That must have been a super thick cape where you wouldn't see it.
I'm just thinking, like, why wouldn't he just fly back to his apartment, change real fast, and get back before anyone noticed?
Well, you got to remember, so this isn't the time in the comics when... if we think back to the original comics, Superman couldn't fly. He was able to leap tall buildings with a single bound. He was faster than a speeding bullet, right? So he was faster than a speeding bullet, but he's not moving at the speeds he is now, where he literally just, almost flies at near the speed of light. So his powers were more limited. They had to ground him more in reality where, yeah, he can move super fast, but he's not going to go all the way back to his place and get back before somebody notices. Whereas we see Smallville and in the latter movie iterations, he's moving so fast at points, people never know he left, right? That wasn't a thing back in the comics. So, obviously as his powers grew throughout the years, they wouldn't need to even have that because like you said, yeah, he'd literally just go change and come back. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. I hope you found this video informative of all of the Superman outfits throughout the years. Let us know down in the comments which one is your favorite. What suit did you like the best? And then, as always, if you have made it with us this far, we definitely do appreciate it. Consider giving this video a like. He's going to show you where. All right, hit the thumbs up button as well. We definitely appreciate that. And then subscribe to the channel for more of the MCU and DCU content that we've got coming on in the future.
Yeah, make sure, I was going to say, yeah, just we appreciate everyone that's watched all our videos and subscribed to the channel. So, again, we're not doing this for money or fame or anything like that. Just we enjoy talking about it. We thought we may bring it to you all. So we do appreciate all the likes and the follows and the subs and all the bells clicking. I know you guys, it takes a lot to click a button on your mouse, but we do appreciate it.
All right, guys. Until the next one, we'll see you then.
Later.